up and I'm so strung out. I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. Let me go on, like I glister in the sun.
Hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. So for today's Fast Friday, we're going to do something a little different. I am going to tell you my #1 camera problem with Fujifilm. But first, I get a lot of questions about how I light my studio. I am going to show you the 4 main lights that I use because good lighting is all about layering it on. So the main light, otherwise known as a key light, is an Aperture Amaran 200D, and I have it placed about a 45-degree angle from the primary camera. And I find it very important to use this honeycomb cover right here because it more precisely directs the light right on my face. Here's what I look like with just the fill light right here, and you can see it does a pretty good job of lighting more or less this side of me. So unless I'm going for that dark and dramatic look, we want to have some light coming this direction. Not as bright as this, but at least something so that I don't have all of this shadow right here. And for that, we've got this fill light right here. Here we are with the fill light off, and here it is on. There's a third light that's actually pretty important to kind of separate out the subject from the background, and that is called the hair light. And that's located right here behind me. And the light comes down right to about there. Now the hair light is not so obvious to see, unlike, the key light or the fill light, so keep your eye on my shoulder right here. Okay, the hair light is off, and now it's on. Off, on. And sometimes, depending upon sort of the mood of the video and how much I want to isolate myself, I'll make it brighter or dimmer. And with this 3 light setup, I could pretty much be done with it, but I wanted to add one more light, and that would be this light right here. It's an Amaran tube light that I have sort of just attached to the studio wall, and I use this makeshift case to prevent the kicker light from spilling out over here. And just like the hair light, it's not as noticeable. But unlike these 3 lights, which are all the same color temperature, the kicker light, I purposely dialed in a specific color and saturation to it. I want you to watch the side of my face and shoulder right here. Right now, the light is off, and now it's on. Off, on. Obviously, the difference is not dramatic, but it adds just a little bit of color that I like, kind of warms things up, and I think it looks nice. I had a lot of challenges in lighting this set and this studio, and I could make like an hour-long video about every single thing that I did and why. If you'd like to see that, let me know. But what I will tell you briefly, get all of the lighting in your background looking exactly how you like it and exposed for that in your camera as well. Like right now, if you don't see me, the background is exactly how I want it to look. I wanted the background to be a lot darker than the subject. So that's what I worked on first until I got that right. And once I did that, I then went ahead and started working on how I was going to light the subject. Another challenge is when your subject is wearing glasses, and that was a headache, okay? Because if I turn this way, it's pretty obvious. The big takeaway here when it comes to lighting is you layer lighting on top, one after the other. Think of lighting as a plated meal at a restaurant, say. You have your main course, say fish or steak, whatever. And then generally you might have a vegetable, say a bunch of broccoli, okay? That is your fill light, okay? Not as big as the main course, but it's still a substantial part of the meal. And then maybe you've got some rice with it, a starch, okay? That's the hair light. Now you got those 3 things. And then the kicker is the parsley, right? Makes it look good. It's pretty, and you can put it in certain places, move it around. Big key light, fill light, and hair light. And that's the usual setup unless you add a kicker to it, and then you start adding all the decorative lights. But even though you're layering those last, right, because these are the most important, you want to add those first in terms of your exposure on your camera. Expose for the background, especially if it's darker. Get that right in your camera. Once it is, then put these big lights, and then you can adjust the intensity based on what the background is. I specifically did not want to get into lighting brands and what model and this and that, because for the beginners, some of you that are new to lighting, I really wanted you to focus on the method first. because the brand isn't as important. You know, actually, as I think about it right now, I should make a part 2 to this video so I could really get into the details here. But I now want to tell you my number one camera problem. The micro HDMI port. I have now broken yet another Fujifilm camera. It is the X-T4 right here. I have broken the HDMI port on every single Fujifilm camera that I've ever used, except for one. The X-T2. This was the first Fujifilm camera that I ever got, and it's gotten the most use, let's just say, and yet it has survived. I don't know why. All the other ones are broken. I know I can be hard on equipment, for sure, but all of them? Really? I have been using sort of HDMI cable fasteners, but they're still breaking, and they're not cheap. You're looking at a couple of $100. As I've mentioned before, this is a problem specific to myself and my use case for Fujifilm cameras. And I can also recognize that unless you're shooting video, you may not ever need or have any use for the HDMI port. But given the fact that I have had the micro HDMI port break on not one, not two, not three, but 4 Fujifilm cameras, I thought it would be worth mentioning to see if anyone else has had this problem and to pass it along to Fuji that I think these cameras would be even better if they used at least the HDMI Mini. Whether or not it's a problem with the micro HDMI port itself or the design of the micro HDMI cable, as for myself, that is absolutely the number one problem I continue to have. And it's kind of a big one because I use HDMI all the time. And by the way, if you would like me to make a behind the scenes detailed video on how I did all of the lights and everything that was put together, please let me know and I will do that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I'm going to be signing off now. Have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you in a new video soon. Take care.